right, hi guys, and welcome to Money Matters. It is Sunday, 3 p.m. here in Malaysia. Thank you so much for tuning in for our show. If you're someone who's new and this is the first time you're tuning in to Money Matters, welcome to the show. Money Matters is something that kind of like started like a project that I was doing during the pandemic, and I've always been very fascinated with money and personal finance and how we can all manage it much better by learning from other people's experiences. So naturally, during the pandemic, when everybody was had plenty of free time in their hand, I also decided that you know what, maybe I should share about some of my personal experiences with regards to money. And something just started out of that, and since then we have done many different episodes. We have featured amazing speakers from all across the world who come and share their experiences on how they manage their money, how do they think about their finances. And if you tune in to each and every single episode, you will also get to learn the different perspectives that people have, the different beliefs that people have, and how certain things will actually help you to improve on your finances. So, if this is your first time, welcome, and I hope you guys keep tuning in. To our future episodes as well. And to the rest of you guys who have been tuning in since day one for Money Matters, thank you so much once again for being a huge support to us. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share this video out to anyone you feel would be looking to learn more about freelancing and how that works, which is what today's topic is all about. So let's dive right into today's topic. So today's topic is full time to freelancing. I'm personally someone who has been very fascinated with individuals who do freelancing because it's not an easy thing to do at all. A lot of us may think that's something that we want to do. We may kind of like idolize it and think about, yes, one day I'm going to be having this career where I can do whatever I want, and we may have a certain perception towards it, but we may not understand exactly what takes place. And finances is hard enough with a full-time job, but if you're going into freelancing, it's a whole new level of a ball game in a way. So I wanted to dive into this topic and understand how it really works. And amazingly, I managed to meet a speaker who had amazing experiences, who had a lot of insight as to how we can make it happen, and did something so courageous. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our speaker on stage. She used to have a full-time job at one of the, I think, second largest communications company in the world. She used to work at such a big organization, and then she decided to make the jump into freelancing, which is not an easy task. And I think right now she is the UAE licensed freelancer. Again, an amazing feat, an amazing achievement. So we are going to dive into her experiences. How did she make it happen? So without further ado, let me welcome on screen Saima. Hello,
Hi,
Saima.
Madhura. Thank you for all those lovely compliments.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. I'm very excited for today's topic. And I think there are a lot of people who want to learn about this, but they may not know who to talk to, like how I was for the many years. So today is going to be a good session. How are you feeling, by the way? How was Sunday for you?
Amazing. It's Ramadan here.
Yes.
So, like, we are fasting. Yeah.
Yes. For all of you who are fasting, yeah, same in Malaysia, a lot of us are actually fasting as well. So I think it's Ramadan Kareem, right? We should wish that. So, and I think it's also Easter Sunday. So happy Easter Sunday for those who
Happy Easter
celebrate.
Sunday. Yeah.
Perfect. So we already have some audiences in, and I before we go into your whole life story in a way, I like to kick start it with some questions, which usually goes very deep. So you can choose to keep it, deep, or you can give me a very quick answer as well. Perfectly fine with me. But yeah. So the one that I am always very keen to know about is what is one, I don't know, principle or belief that something that you practice with regards to money that you always follow. Like this is one rule that I'll never break when it comes to money.
So I think most of us, like when we are younger, we have this impulsive buying behavior. We do not plan our purchases.
Yep.
and we think we need something, and we just dive in and we go ahead and want to make it work just to get that thing.
Yep.
Basically, we're very materialistic, and we do not think about finances in the long run. But as we gradually grow older, we plan our purchases and all of those things. So the one principle that I go by is to have that kind of saving before making any big purchases. The small ones are all right, but any big purchases like a laptop or a car or anything of that scale.
Yep. I love that.
So
I recently I watched a whole, I think it was like a 10-minute special that was done by CNA, Channel News Asia in Singapore, which was about this buy now pay later, and how a lot
yes,
of millennials and all are going into that, and how much spending has gone up because of it. So I love what you shared. Save it before you actually go into the big
yes, yes.
purchases.
I think
um
there was an article that said that you need to have like three times the amount of something you want to purchase already in
yeah.
your bank account. That was something that I had read somewhere.
Yes, yes, I think I've heard of something similar where they say like, if you can't buy it twice, then you can't. It means you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the one, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so that's the good stuff. So we know now that Saima does. You save up before you buy something big and
No,
all of
no
that.
more impulsive buying.
No impulsive buying. But let's not. And everyone's not perfect. All of us make mistakes with regards to our money. There's
True,
some things
and
that we
that
just
is how
can't
we
help.
learn actually.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, that is completely true. So I'm very curious. What is one, probably the most memorable mistake with regards to money that you have made, and what was the lesson behind it for you?
So it is in continuation with my previous answer that
Okay.
when you are young, you think of buying anything like any new blingy shiny stuffs when you start earning because you think you are now having money in your bank account.
Yep.
So you can buy anything and you don't plan it well. And so I started when I started earning, I was fascinated with Apple, so I wanted to buy an iPhone. And I thought I had my starting salary back then in 2011. I started working in 2011. um, so I thought, why not buy an iPhone? But I did not have like to pay it outright. So I thought, why not apply for a credit card? Though I got rejected twice for the credit card application, I still went on applying for the third time, and by then I had like a decent salary for the credit card. So they gave me a credit card and I bought the iPhone, but turned out I paid like over 30% over the actual price in the tenure of the credit
Yep.
card payment. So that is something. It's a big mistake that when we are younger, we do not know how to use credit. It's a great thing actually using if you use a credit card properly. It's a very good thing. Like in times of emergencies, or if you plan your purchases properly and if you plan to make the payment on the right time, it's a very good financial tool. Like I think.
Yes. I,
But
I
again, most of us are not taught those things in school. Um, that is the biggest issue. How to use credit properly.
Yes, I don't. You're not taught how to earn. You're not taught to how to spend anything really. So, I love that. I think many of, even me, the first few years of earning, because that's the first time I'm getting a feel of money and how it feels.
Yes.
Naturally, I made so many mistakes with regards to buying the randomest of things. Now I look
Yeah.
back, what was I even thinking? So I
Yeah. And you don't even use half of those stuffs. That is
yes,
the
exactly. So let's go right into our topic today. I think you have a lot to share about this. So, um, freelancing, before we go into your whole experience of moving into freelancing and what it actually is all about. I'm very curious to know. You mentioned, when you started, you got your iPhone and all of that. What was the beginning of your career like? Like after studies and all that, how was your career started, and how did you end up working in like the second largest communications company in the world?
So I studied business management, specializing in marketing, and there weren't like many offbeat options back in those days. The career paths were very conventional.
Yep.
So when you study marketing, naturally people think that you would start working in sales and those starter entry level jobs, but I wouldn't want to be someone who would be like a good salesperson. So I liked being on the social media platforms. When I was in college, I used to be on new platforms when Pinterest wasn't there, or when Instagram just started. All of those platforms I was very curious about. What do they do? What features do they have? How do they have those community building activities? How do they have brand followers? So I was very inquisitive about those things. That is how I was attracted towards digital marketing. So I went on applying for entry level jobs for digital marketing, and digital marketing wasn't so advanced in those days. So I started my first job into content, and then moved on to a digital marketing job very quickly. And after that, I was studying for my postgrad in marketing. So I was looking for an upgrade in my job. That is how I landed up, working with MSL, which is part of Publicis Group. That's the second largest communications group in the world. So I was in a global role managing corporate comms and marketing for MSL. That is how Trudy Harris, who is now the co-founder of Maya's, she was my super boss. She was the chief comms officer at Publicis Comms.
Yes.
So I have worked for over 7 years now, like until 2020, uh, until the pandemic,
Yep.
and later on, we were working from home, and that is how I had a lot of time in hand to research and see how people are building their personal brands online, building their own, $1 million businesses and all of those things. So I had those things going on, that I have that kind of experience, and self learning that I've done over the years, because I do not like have a because we do not have like a proper degree of sorts into digital marketing. We still don't, like, we don't have college degrees into digital marketing, like on the basic level. Of course, on the advanced level, once you are out of college, you can do all of those degrees now into digital marketing. So, most of us who started very early into digital marketing, we learned everything on the job.
Yes.
So I thought, why not, get into personal branding and marketing? I already have a couple of clients who are, CEOs or board level members. So I manage their profiles already. Like on weekends, I used to do part-time freelancing. So that is why I decided to, like, the thought of transitioning to freelancing. That is how it started during the pandemic.
I see a lot of things happen during the pandemic. I started a show. You decided to become a freelancer during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
it is it was a very unpredictable time, right? I mean, I think since 2020, everything has been unpredictable until now.
Yes.
So if being in this era, I think recently everybody's talking about AI and all that. Anybody can come up with designs and pictures and whatnot, or write a professional email without any actual skill in a
Right.
way. In this kind of an era, does being a freelancer give you an edge? Is it something advantageous for you?
Tools are something which were already always existing of course, AI is pretty much advanced, and it's, breaking the ceiling much more than any other, tools that were already existing. But it all depends on how you use it.
Yeah,
It is really helpful in terms of research. It is really helpful in terms of generating ideas quickly, because if you are sometimes running short on time and you want to generate something quickly, that is very good. Like,
yeah,
it's like an instant, probably instant noodles. But that doesn't work for, if you have a bigger brand that you're managing and you have a lot of guidelines that you follow. You
yeah,
have the client requirements, you have your target audience defined, and you have your content buckets and content styles defined. That is not what every all of these, the computer or chat gpt would have that in memory. I would be wrong. There would be some advanced tools already in the making right now, but I feel like a proper person would be someone who would have everything going on in their mind, back of their mind, while creating or managing a brand.
yeah, yeah. I like what you say. It's tools at the end of the day. It's whether you
Yes.
adapt to it, and I think whether, regardless of whether you're in a full time job or a freelancer or whatnot, you need to be adapting to these things.
Yeah,
You know.
I've seen there's some new tool that's here. It's kind of a marketing assistant. It does everything. Like, it will create your post, it will post it off. But I still think there would be some need of human intervention, because
Yeah.
things could go wrong somewhere. So yeah.
Agreed, agreed. So, going back into the whole idea of I think freelancing. Many of the people that I meet who have a full time job, or they may not necessarily be happy with the job or their bosses, their immediate solution to this problem is I should change to a freelancing job.
Mm.
Personally, like I'm from an accounting field, so everyone thinks freelance accounting, that's my thing. I'm going to start become a freelance accountant. But not many people actually successfully make that change. Many would start, or they would attempt to slowly start the part-timing thing, and the next thing you know, they're back at the full-time job, or it never successfully transitions. So for
Yes.
you did make it happen, you did successfully transition. What do you feel are some of the things that people miss out that kind of stops them from making the transition successfully?
Yeah, I think the desperation of making the change quickly, because it doesn't happen overnight,
Yep.
and you need to plan it well. Uh, Planning in terms of what kind of work are you going to do? Do you have anything already? Uh, because that is how you start generating an income.
Yep.
And if you have a backup of, like, say, 6 months at least, wherever you are, whichever country you are in, you should have that kind of backup for the next 6 months to pay your rent, to pay your expenses, basic cost of living. That is how, that is maybe you would take a risk of leaving your job and going about freelancing. But I still suggest people to have some projects on the side, work on them over the weekends or in the evenings if you get time, and build that kind of freelance portfolio, the work that you do only for yourself. Like, it's not associated with the company you're working already with. So
Yep.
once you have that kind of portfolio, you have your connections, you network with a set of potential clients, and you have that rapport and have a personal brand online. Then only like, you create a base, basically, like a client base, like a financial base, a base for everything. And then only think of transitioning to like a freelance. It's not like you snap and you switch to a freelance role. It's
Yep.
a lot of risks are involved, which you need to have, like, you need to have calculated risks, I think.
Yep. Agreed. You did mention the financial aspect of it, of coming up with, let's say, the 6 months of saving, so that you actually can cover your expenses, so that you are not rushing to it into it in a way. One of the things I also notice is that sometimes, when we have a full-time job, we know this, that steady stream of income coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
we tend to know, okay, so these are all the things I can spend on. I have certain things that is my favorite things to buy, so I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
But when you go into freelancing, there may be some ups and downs with regards to your income and all of that. So how do we handle the other the wants part of finances, not the needs we may have savings and we may be covering it, and we know we need to keep within a budget, but there'll always be some form of temptation for the wants, the additional tech gadget, new gadget that's coming up, or some makeup item that I wanted to buy, or for me
Yeah.
books, a never ending
Yeah.
read. So how do we stop ourselves from going into that, or should we even stop ourselves?
So it's a very thin line. I wouldn't, have that kind of advice to control, you know, the wants, because, like you mentioned, books. I recently bought myself a Kindle. I gave it a thought. Like I had a older Kindle, but then the new one came, and I was like, I want this, and I like to read books.
Yep.
So I went on and bought it. So that's how what I do is I keep a track of what is coming in, and a track of my expenses. Once all of those things are paid, and probably I have like a decent amount of savings. And if it's a small purchase, like probably not more than a $500 purchase, something like that, I would, go ahead and buy it. But it should be something that adds value, um, not just something that I would use it for one time, or just use it and use and through kind of stuffs.
Yeah.
Probably, impulsive buying, basically,
Yeah.
not thinking of what value it adds to your life. The mantra I go by is that it should add some kind of value, um, to what you're doing, probably to your work, or to your personal well-being, or if you're learning something, that those are all good investments, I feel.
Agreed, agreed. Very nicely said. And I think this is something that will forever be there. The different temptations. So we just need to learn how to manage it. And you also mentioned about
Yeah.
kind of knowing what is taking place with regards to the income and outgoing will keep you more, I think, grounded with regards to how you spend your
Yes,
money.
yes. When you do that first, you know that you have, these things that need to go out. So you have that kind of buffer there to stop with the impulsive buying.
Agreed, agreed. Very nicely said. So one of the other things that is very interesting about you is, yes, you made a decision to go into freelancing, but you also moved to another country to make this happen. This is like, I'm like, wow, this is like five big decisions combined into one decision, and it's amazing that you have made it happen. So moving to another country, I mean, a lot of us may have wanted to, we would have thought about it, and then we would have freaked out about it, and then went like, nope, I'm just staying here because I have no idea how it works. And sometimes some of us may go the extra step a little bit more and Google about it, and then we freak out and then we go back again. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what was your process like? When did it even start for you? Like, okay, maybe this is something I'm looking into, and what were the steps you took to kind of make it happen?
So I was also somewhat like that. The girls that you mentioned, I used to Google and I used to freak out. I used to always think of moving to Dubai, because I did not want to move very much far away from my country, because of
Yep.
course my my mom would miss me a lot.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
kind of
That's
nearby here. Plus, it's a very centrally located location for me if I consider freelancing.
yep.
So even when I was in a full-time job, I was in a global role. So I have worked different time zones. First, I had my boss who was based in Paris, sometimes in London, which is Trudy. Later, I had my boss who was based in New York. So I
Okay.
have worked with them, yeah, on a regular basis, not just like one time or something like that. We had connections, like we used to communicate every day. So I have worked those time zones. So And I have clients all over the world. I have some clients in Singapore, I have some clients in Switzerland. So the time zones are crazy. So Dubai is in between, like a perfect time zone for me to, work with different clients. So that is how I shortlisted this location to start freelancing with. And of course, I was traveling a lot during the pandemic. I was traveling with my laptop, doing work sometimes during the day or something like that.
Yep.
That is how I decided, like, I shortlisted to move to Dubai. But again, with a lot of planning.
Yeah. So I mean, I never knew there was so much of thought process to decide the location in a way. But once you have decided, like, how do you prepare financially for it? So is it something like you are having also again like previously discussed a certain number of months that you saved up as savings, and what were the unforeseen, like one of the things I did and I was very shocked with was when I moved out of my parents' place, I did not know there were so many things that my parents paid for in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, you mean I have to buy the soap again and again? You mean it's a so it
That
was
is
very
so true.
shocking.
That is so true.
So what are some of the things that kind of like caught you off guard when you moved to like when you live in a different country and you go like, oh my God, I never thought this would be something I'd be paying for.
So, luckily, I had a partner who had been to Dubai before, who was
Yeah.
working here already. So, I had a lot of insights already, a lot of mental preparation that was done for me, like the mental conditioning and everything. But still, the one thing that I was doing when I moved here is to, go out whenever I am going grocery buying as well. I used to have the calculator in hand and I used to see how much, this chocolate is going to cost me in rupees.
Oh God.
Uh,
Oh
so,
God.
so I went mental for the starting 3 months of moving here, and I had my brother who is into navy. He told me he travels to a lot of countries, and he was telling me that stop doing that because if you continue doing that, you will go crazy. So
Yep.
you have to think that this is the currency that you now have to earn and spend in. So stop doing that conversion into rupees. Anyways, so a couple of things that you need to keep in mind moving to any country. But I would give my experience moving into this country. You need to have done some research into the cost of living here, the the rents here. The rents here are very very high. I think compared to most of the countries.
Yep.
Um, yeah, things are very expensive. Transportation could be a challenge here because moving from point A to point B, you have good public transportation, but the timing that goes into travel, the travel time basically,
Yep.
is longer when you are using public transport, and it's very difficult to get a driving license here. I've been trying since 8 months now. So all of these things you have to keep in mind because if you don't have these things, if you don't know about these things and you move here, you would be in for a shock. And most of the people I've heard of, they kind of get disheartened and go back. So it's very important to know about these things through the internet probably, and through people who are already here in this country. You need to keep talking to them, keep asking questions. I ask a lot of questions, so that is how I learn. So yeah, the cost of living, the cost of transportation, the cost of your housing, and luckily you don't have any taxes here. So otherwise, if you are moving to a country where there are taxes, you should know about taxes.
Yep.
You should also know about healthcare, by the way, because healthcare in any other country than yours is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So you need to think about those things. So when I moved here, I had two things in mind. Not just freelancing, I was also looking for a full time job. I had a freelance client already on the side, But I thought I would manage both because the cost of living here is too high. So I was looking for jobs, but when I saw I had greater, like, bigger opportunities in freelancing, I decided to have like a official license to work here as a freelancer.
Yep.
So I found
Which is
out
something
about
new,
it.
I believe.
Sorry.
So I don't know. You mentioned about the licensed for freelancing, and I think that's
Yes,
something
yes.
I learned from you. And I think there are many countries that have those opportunities as well.
Yes. So when I was in my country, I don't think so. We have any kind of license to work as a freelancer. You just need to
Yep.
pay taxes on your income. That is how they keep track of your the money coming in. But here, to have money in your bank account, you need to have like an employment shown. So if I am not employed with any company, I need to have a sponsor for me to work
Yep.
here. So that is what it means by getting a license proper from the UAE government. So I went through the entire process, which is again kind of very expensive. You need to pay for your license, you need to pay for your visa, you need to pay for your own insurance, everything. Basically, whatever your employer was going to pay for you pay for
Yep.
yourself.
Yep.
And yeah, that requires like a proper planning. So I had my buffer of 6 months of savings and all the expenses that I had accounted for. But this is what something I did not know of when I made the move. So
Yep.
it took me like a good 6 months to save for the licensing fees and everything while freelancing. Um, luckily I had a couple of clients and my income was coming in, but the only drawback was I was taking those freelance fees back in my country, where I pay a lot of taxes.
Yep.
So it was my goal to save as much as I could for the next 6 months, and pay those fees into getting a official UAE freelance license.
Makes sense.
So
Makes
I
sense.
that was my number one priority last year, in
Got it.
2022. Yeah.
So kind of wrap up the whole freelancing thing. I think one thing that I personally have encountered with some of the individuals that I work with in personal finance who are their own bosses in a way. They chart the path for their business or their services. You may not necessarily, because if you're someone who has already, when you're young, you were trained to do, okay, do A, do B, and this is how you, most of us were trained in school. um, Going into a place where you have a free reign on whatever you can do may not, may actually cause you to go like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. What do I want to do in my freelancing? Or you may be very hardworking, and then at some points you may have your dips and all of that. So for you personally, what is probably some of the things that, obstacles that you face as a freelancer, and how have you learned to kind of like manage those scenarios in a way?
So yeah. So when you're working for yourself, organizing your workflow and having a proper routine during the day, it's very tough. Like during the first 3 months that I moved here, it was very difficult for me to manage. Plus, being in a new country, my routine and everything had changed. So I was lost at times. I used to work like 24 hours. I would round the clock. I would have my laptop around me while doing all the other stuff. But then after a couple of weeks, I was going mad that I am working so much and still not getting a lot of work done. So what is it that I am doing wrong?
Yep.
So I did a lot of thinking, sitting down and thinking how I'm utilizing my time. It's anti productive to keep working around the clock. People think that when you are freelancing or something, you keep working around the clock. I don't think so. You need to have a proper schedule that you should follow, because when you're freelancing you don't meet a lot of people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You would of course have your meetings and everything, but on a regular basis when you are in a full-time job you meet a lot of people, you talk to them. So all of those interactions are missing when you're working for yourself. So, and you at times you might even feel demotivated. So it's important to have like a proper uh, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, or if you are in your advanced level of freelancing, even 8 to lunchtime people work until then only. So
Yep.
to have a proper schedule as to what you would be doing during the day or during the week, it's very important. So I usually plan my week ahead. What is it that I need to achieve during the coming week? I plan my days ahead. I don't work on weekends. That is something I have been following since I was working full time.
Yep.
So I was not working on weekends back then, and even while freelancing, I don't work on weekends. Only of course, when there's something urgent, or there's something that needs my attention over the weekend, I would definitely take care of that. But apart from that, I make sure that it's a Monday to Friday. I should get some sense of having a routine, like usually you have in a full time job.
Yep.
That's how you keep your sanity. You also keep free times. Like I have a time on my calendar at 5:30. It changes of course with the weather that I have set for to watch the sunset. I have like a beautiful house. uh, so I have my cup of coffee and I watch the sunset
Oh, that's beautiful.
every day.
Very nice, very nice. I love that. I think regardless of whether you're a student, since many of you who watch Money Matters are students, having that schedule and deciding what goes on at which day and when is your rest and when is your leisure time, when is the time you're spending with your friends and family. I think that's a very very good
Very
important skill
important.
to have in this
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
So love you shared about that. So we are coming to close to the end of our time. So I have one final question. This could you also like working actively on Maya. So you may have seen like hundreds of different ideas with regards to financial literacy and money awareness and all those kind of things. So for any interesting takeaway that our audiences should have today? It could be related to freelancing and whatever you have shared, or anything else new that you personally have been interested in for the past few months. What is one important takeaway that anyone who's watching right now should take away from the show?
Um, I think if it is related to money, I would say, have the kind of proper planning done uh, with your finances. Don't be impulsive about it. Uh, and have your income and expenses tracker in place, like whatever you're earning versus whatever you're spending, and then allocate some kind of amounts to your impulsive buying as well. Probably you could do that, like
Yep.
you give yourself like $100 every month that you keep aside to spend it with on your impulsive buying, because that is something it's very difficult for most of us to uh, control or limit.
Yep.
Another thing that I was going through recently is what Michael had shared, that um, savings is something you should do at the start of the month. You should have a small amount that you should, have put into your savings account every, start of the month. That is something that hit to me, because I haven't really kind of started saving properly, like consistently.
Yep.
So that is something that I would advise younger people who are starting to start saving small, but have that consistency. Probably, when I was younger, my mom used to take me to the bank and open like a small recurring deposit account, and she used to encourage me to add in like a small amount of my pocket money in there. And after like a year or so, she would tell me that this is the amount that you now have in your account. So that kept me going to put in those small amounts out of my pocket money.
Yes, I love that. So one of the things that I started to do when I really started managing my money is putting my savings the moment I get paid. Like the first thing I do when I get paid is to put it towards savings first before I put it into anything else. And it became
Yes.
almost like a, when you practice it long enough, it becomes like an automatic thing that you're not even thinking about it when you do it. So like
Yeah,
now.
and then you don't have anything left for buying any stupid stuffs.
Yeah. Yes. Even if you do, after you save, if you do end up with some extra cash to spend on some stupid things, you won't feel bad about it because now you know you have already taken care of the important parts of your finances, and
Yes,
it's time
yes,
for you to enjoy your life and buy the things that you want to buy. So I love what
yes,
you shared about
that is
saving
true.
at the beginning of the month. Very, very nicely said. So yeah, thank you so much, Saima, for
Thank you so
sharing
much, my
all the
pleasure.
insights that you have with regards to freelancing. I am mind blown. I'm sure the audiences are also learning a lot from today's session.
Thank you.
And guys, that's the end of Money Matters session today, and we'll catch you guys in the next upcoming session. And yeah, that's bye from us.
Bye.